Hello, everyone. My name is Treasure David, Treasure Enyinnaya David. I am an African by blood, but a Nigerian by birth. I hail from Imo State, Nigeria. I love Africa, right? That's something I introduce myself with. I am Pan African. I love the continent. I love our culture. I'm a cultural man. I am tagged the village man. Before it was a boy, because that was when I was growing up as a teenager. But now, I'm grown up and I don't call myself a boy again. I call myself a man. So I'm a village man. But I call myself a village man because I believe in the uniqueness of our continent. I believe in what we represent. And so representing myself from the origin of who we are is what I find very, very interesting. And also, I currently lead Innovative Village. Basically, we've identified some issues. We desire to solve issues in Africa, right? And one of the major issues, the economic issue Africa is faced with. And we decided to solve the issues downwards, within a bottom top approach. And the drivers of the issue in Africa here is the SMEs. So we actually we solve the issues that SMEs are faced with, right? Some of the issues include access, right? We create a system that gives access to SMEs, access to knowledge, access to network, a good network, access to financiers, that's just people that have funds, investors, access to a community of SMEs and so on. So we are majorly doing this because we believe that if we create a system where SMEs are sustainable, we affect directly the African economy. So that's basically what we do at Innovative Village. I'm also the convener for the Africa SME Assembly. The Africa SME Assembly is the largest gathering of SMEs across the continent. And we are very intentional about what we're doing. We have identified, like I said earlier, the needs of SMEs. We know how these small businesses play an integral part towards the general development and sustainability of the African economy. And we want to play our part to ensuring they are sustainable, right? Not just being sustainable, attracting the eyes of both the diaspora community, investors outside of Africa, within the continent as well, to put in their resources within these businesses so that they can actually scale them. So that's basically what the assembly is about. And I currently lead the team there at the assembly. And I'm really excited to be here. Sorry. I have witnessed conversation here with this.
No. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Thank you so much for that. Because we do a lot of storytelling here, I would like you to take me a little bit to Imo State. That is where you were born, right?
Oh no, I was born in River State, but I was born in River State and then I moved to Imo State. So I spent a huge chunk of my childhood in Imo State. I schooled in Imo State.
Okay, tell me a bit about Imo State. You're originally from Imo State, correct? All right. Tell me about that because you grew up there. Did you participate in the masquerade? Because when I was at home, I used to like it a lot. Of course, you are talking about Africa now. Those are important things.
Exactly.
When I was when I was at home, I participated in what they call the village town cleaner in our place we call Egbonuwere. I did it, and I'm very proud of that. So that when you say taking care of your community, I know what it means because I have been there. When you don't clean your part, we did that on every Sunday. There was a fine for you, so you know what you're supposed to do. So we have the village stratification. Of course, I'm taking it down to the village now because I see that you are talking of being a village man or a village boy. I want you to know that is something of honor, something of pride, something that people should be proud of. If people understand what it even means to be in the village, because in the village we are talking about the community. That is where everybody know everybody. That is where you are coming from. That is an interesting place to be. Actually, I'll be there. I love it. Even though I'm here in Europe, I understand what it means to be in a village because you don't need to. When I talk about it from an experience. So tell me again, what do you remember of you growing up in Imo State?
Okay, amazing. Okay, so firstly, I am from Aberdeen, in Imo State, right? My actual village is the Enyinnaya family, right? The Enyinnaya family is like one of the biggest biggest clan in Aberdeen, right? in my community, one thing I was that's very interesting about growing up in the village is the fact that there's a level of communalism that occurs there that is not found anywhere right across the world. Like something you get to see people interact with each other in ways that you wonder how did they even get to this point in the first place. For instance, we have the village market, village market. We have each have their village market days. So the Umonachi family have the market days, and usually on Wednesdays, right? And those days, I gaga, let's go, I gaga, like how they call it, I gaga, like we are going, we go. And so what we do is basically we have this market structure such a way that every market day, everybody has their product already ready and sending it down to the market, right? And so the idea is from the previous day, everybody's preparing. And one thing I think that this is something that sticks so much in my head is the fact that there's this level of preparation. Prior to that, the people already pounded fufu, people already frying gari, people already they have already cut down their plantains already outside, for it's already at the backyard, and outside already, and you see everybody just working hard. If you come to the village during that period, then we'll go to the farm, cut. We have some trees around. We have oha. I don't know if you're familiar with the Igbo culture. There's a tree called oha, which is the oha soup, right? And so we go first cut the oha, sample it so that it doesn't get dry. Sprinkle water on it so it doesn't get stiff and dried up. And then we have ukwa. So we have ukwa in our village there. So we cut the ukwa like 2 weeks. So usually ukwa, our ukwa falls. So when we pack the ukwa, it's usually quite in a very big kind of funny. I don't know how to explain it, but very funny. And we now mash it. There's a mash it. So we use our hands. I use a grater then mash it, and then the seed is usually within that. And so the first few days of the week, we are spending our time mashing okwa, like mashing it till we can, extract it from the chomp. And to me, I think the communalism, the energy that everyone puts into ensuring that they actually achieve that market day, to me is actually what I remember so much. Sometimes I wake up on Monday morning and I remember that, by this time in the village, you probably have spent some time in the early morning of the hour, probably going to the farm to uproot cassava, to cut cassava as well in the morning so that we can soak it, before we take it to the where we grind it and all of that. So it's to me, life in the village becomes very interesting. And then if you come it down to the festive period as well, it's interesting because festive period we have Christmas days. So the way we spend Christmas here in Nigeria, in the town, is that on the 25th. 25th is the Christmas day for that's what we know. But in my village, it's not like that. So every community have their Christmas days, and what characterizes that is that during that day, everybody from every other community, right? So we have Umodimuku, we have we have Umodimuku, we have Umunachi, we have Umunama. There are some communities around. So we are all brothers, and the thing that characterizes that is that during Christmas, the day that is your clan's Christmas day, everybody from each community comes to your house, comes to your to your community and eats, celebrate. Then we have the I've forgotten the masquerade night is usually for that community. And the beauty of the entire, the colorfulness, the Igwe, then usually it's not Igwe per se, usually the chief, Daisy. That's what we used to call it, Daisy. So the Daisy then will come out and then he'll declare, he'll just make a declaration and then everyone start rejoicing and then we'll start dancing. They will now have this football tournament. We usually have this football tournament in the community, then every community will come. So we have a football time. Then during the time, everybody goes to the village square where they feel this and watch the match, play, enjoy ourselves. So it's something that one thing that stands out for me, the fact that it's our uniqueness, it's our identity. We build from there. My community, I schooled from there. Like you could see growth from there. People loving each other, people building with each other, people growing with each other. And when someone, leaves to the city, you see them coming together. So when the person wants to leave, the person, celebrated a little bit. There's this small, what do they call it again? Some of these words are skipping my mind now. So this word, there's something they call it in Igbo, right? We come together and we celebrate, just do a little mini party, but it's not really that the person will now I think he uses bare leg and step on the ground or something like that, something very, very funny and very traditional, right? And then the person will now go. Early morning, the person will now go. They'll take the person to the park and the person will go to the city and all of that. And so to us, that was that was something that I actually could remember. Personally, we didn't stay too long in the village before we moved back to the city. And we kept, we grew up. I grew up in Imo State. I schooled in University of. I schooled in my secondary school was CRM International College in Burichi at Owerri. That's where I finished. I did my secondary school, and then I went further to University of Port Harcourt. That's where I actually did my university, my college degree, right? So I think so. Coming out from that background, right, and then seeing the city life and growing in the city, and I just realized that in as much as we have technology advancement, good roads, access to internet, a lot of good stuff, electricity in the city, there was still something about the village that still stood out for me, like something that is ourselves, something that is our identity, something that is us, So to me, I think that made a lot of sense to me, and that's why I call myself the village man, because it connects to my identity, it connects to who I am, and I think Africa generally, if you're going back to who we are, from where we come from, you realize that there's a lot of uniqueness that comes from where we are coming from, that we, if we tap into, that kind of separates us from the rest. And so that designed my mindset towards the continent. And I felt like, as a Nigerian, as an African, right, it's beautiful that we can see these things and not just see it, but act on it. Tell ourselves that we are Africans, like embody it. We are Africans. We are Nigerians. We are Igbos. This is who we are, and build from that origin, from that identity. These are things we don't do. This is our value system. This is our culture. These are the things we do. This is how we do it. Right? This is how we approach life. So to me, I think industrialization was even easier then, because people knew how to do it based on how things are done within the context of the village setting and all of that. So I think, in a nutshell, that's really what caught my attention, and that's how I have built my personal values in all these years. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That is really rich. That is like reading a novel. It's really interesting. Of course, if you have read the book, Things Fall Apart Now, it would be difficult for you to understand what you're talking about, no? You are building the village innovation or innovative village. Tell me about that. Where is the idea coming from?
Okay, so innovative village was dated from these intrinsic experiences I've had, these multiple experiences I've had. So earlier, growing up, getting out of school, I figured that I needed to just do stuff that I am very passionate about. I wanted to be committed to something I feel connected to. I didn't want to just do things because out there getting a job, working and all of that. So I started building stuff early, right? While I was young, while still on campus, I started business early, because as a young boy from India, right, you have the responsibility of always doing something with your hands. We are not lazy people, right? So from where I grew up from where I was coming from, and my origin, we always do something. So while on campus, I ventured into some businesses. I started selling stuff on campus, and that was how I kind of grew into having a business mindset. Although it started from back then, at the village, growing up and all of that. But I knew that I had to do something, and so that experience exposed me to the entrepreneurship landscape. I started seeing things, started asking questions, started studying, started taking courses, started getting to know stuff. And at the point I paused, and there was this day I got a job from someone from an international company, and I did this project with them in I think it's a project that cuts across about three different regions in the world. It was in the American region, within the Eastern region, that's the Asian region, that's Saudi Arabia, UAE. And there's something I figured out. I was just do my study, when I was trying to do the project, I figured that development, because I love Africa so much, and in as much as at that time I couldn't really do anything tangible to change Africa, but I just believed that Africa has to be better. Like, and in the little way I was doing mine was just to put out words, or just to communicate to people, in the little way sell things, always be an advocate of Africa. You see it on my status, boy, always wearing a cultural cap, wearing something very cultural, always identifying myself with culture in itself, right? So those were things I kind of presented, right? So, but it wasn't substantial. It wasn't really going to cause any change per se, but it was just me doing this because I loved it, right? But at the point, and I figured that beyond just the love for it, love drives you to change. It's that when you love something, you want to see it better, right? When something is dear to you, you want to see that it's actually better. And so that was what really drove me. I felt like, Kai, this is my continent and my country, right? Things are not happening well. There's always, a complaint about this. There's always this challenge. We're always under bondage here. We're always under bondage there. It's like we're having issues, plenty issues. That's it. The issues never stop. They just keep recycling, turning around and all of that. And I personally don't like it. But I couldn't do anything as at when I was still on campus. And when I left the campus environment, I had gone through lots of training while on campus. My business then couldn't survive because I had some issues. I was robbed, and all the funds I had then was taken from me. So I couldn't continue with the business. So I just was at a level where I needed to do something tangible. And that was where I got involved in an NGO, right? And it was also drawn out of the passion to give back and also be a part of something, right? I became part of this NGO. So they were focused on enterprise development across about 3 regions in that particular location. That was in Rivers State, Nigeria. So I wrote a project with the French embassy then. I was in charge of I was the person that wrote the project, designed the project, and then also I became the program manager for that project. And we won a grant from the French embassy to improve environmental conditions of businesses within that location. I think about 3 local governments, about 900 businesses or so. I think that was the amount of businesses we had built up. And that was like the first, that was me being exposed to the business world, that's the SMEs. That was the first time I ever had such experience. And I led that project. I was the senior program manager for that project. And I led that for about 9 months or 10 months roughly, because we had 1 month for evaluation, right? So it was roughly 10 months. And that was the first entrance I had towards the business world, SMEs. That was, of course, I not just lead the project. I also trained people. I also trained SMEs because it was basically on enterprise development. So we did that training, and I was one of those people that I was a key facilitator for those sections. And that when I was doing the research, these people really need this, and there's a gap. And even while I trained and taught, I figured that this gap was really substantial, was really a thing, and it has limited lots of businesses from scaling. So, but that wasn't the beginning. That was just an impression that happened in my heart. That was an exposure, right? But I think about a year after a while, my passion for Africa was just burning. I read some books, Why Nation Fail, a lot of books around the continent. They're reading articles. I started asking questions like, where exactly is the issue of the African continent? Well, what is the challenge? Where is the problem? What's the core of the problem? And then when I know that there are lots of issues. There are lots of issues Africa is faced with: economic issue, security issue, poverty, good governance. All of these issues are present in the African continent. The question now remains: how do we really tackle it? Where do we tackle it from? Right? And that was when it dawned on me that so I did a map. I can never forget that in my room. I put a board. Then I wrote a map. I wrote all the issues that Africa is faced with. And then I started asking myself, which issue here can I solve? And that was how dramatic it was. It was really dramatic. And I looked at the whole picture and I was like, which particular issue can I focus myself on for the next phase of my life, right? And I will solve this issue consistently. And they will know me, the world will know me as someone who solves this issue. And I'm going to be committed to solving this issue for as long as possible. Even if I don't solve the issue completely, but let it be that I actually played a role towards solving the issue. And that was where when I started circling, and I figured that economic development and improving the economic value of people, like people's livelihood, giving them the ability to be able to feed themselves. If you can give someone 3 square meal, if you can give him the ability to access healthcare, if he has finance to access healthcare, if he has the funds to maybe access things like education, right? If you can attend to some of the basic needs of people, you have solved a huge part of the problem that Africa is faced with. And so when I did the map, what I did was that I said, okay, so part of Africa, it means I've touched poverty. That was what I said. So it means I've also touched insecurity somehow, because for insecurity is a product. Insecurity is people who don't have a livelihood and they are actually looking for ways to survive. So if you actually make someone productive, the person would not steal. That's the truth. If you make someone engaged lawfully and the person has access to his basic needs, there's no need for the person to take guns and go on the streets to kill people and collect their money and all of that. So I figured that if you can touch that center, you also touch the insecurity aspect, and then education as well. So education is a problem, but the issue is not really that there's no education per se. The issue is that people don't have the capacity to pay and have the capacity to meet their education needs. So the cost of education becomes very high for them, and that was really something that mattered. And the question is, okay, so how do you help them? If you want to help them, it's not by maybe giving them money or providing free education per se, in as much as you provide free education, but there's a standard they are actually looking for, which they desire. So it means if you can empower them to have that supply for themselves, they have the capacity to, in turn, use it for their education, academics, and all of that. And so that was something that made sense to me. In as much as the other areas, like the government areas, which may not be directly affected by the economy and all of that, but I just told myself, okay, so this is actually a problem, economic development. And then it was a very interesting day. So I now took the economic development and economic empowerment enhancement. I just kept it at the middle, and I said, what are the intrinsics of this? Who are the people to touch? What is the component of this economic development issue that we have, economic issue that we have in Africa? Then I started tracing down the companies, the role of policies, the role of the foreign investment, the foreign direct investment, a lot of factors, a lot of things coming in, economic stability, insecurity, one of it, and all plenty of things. And when I traced down, I figured something that was to me, it was like a eureka moment. Like it was like, whoa. Like I figured that SMEs in the continent, small, medium scale businesses are the drivers of the economy, right? So if you want to really enhance the African economy, it's simply empowering the woman in front of my house that has a shop that makes a turnover daily of, let's say, 5,000 naira. If you can empower that woman who makes 5,000 naira daily to start making 20,000 naira daily, she has the capacity to scale her shop further and make even 40,000 daily, and then has more funds to be able to, keep growing, and then has her needs met, her children's needs met. And there's no way she would think of maybe going out on the street to prostituting as a wife, as a human, as a lady, right? Now, these are things that I figured, these are things that I pictured, and I said, okay, since it's SMEs, to give myself to it. I'm going to give my life to it. I'm going to put in all my effort to see that SMEs actually actually grow. As at that time, when I finished, I just figured that, see, I had to go in. So I took a while, started saving up. I got a job. Then I was working while doing this. So I started saving up. In short, I think I saved about a good percentage of my salary. I was saving up, saving up, saving up, saving up, saving up. I registered the company in Innovative Village. I formalized it. I got some team members, set up some systems. I started working. And at the point, I just knew that if I was not giving it the attention I needed to give it. And I knew that if I wanted to really do this, I had to commit myself 100% to it. And that was how I left active working. I resigned from my then job. I was working in an international job in Maryland, USA, and I left the job and I focused fully on SMEs in Africa. And I won't say it's been a very beautiful journey, right? But this is actually what the story was. Like, this is how it started. Like, it was all bettered from a desire to become a change agent in my community, in my locality. Right? And to me, that was it. That's the storyline. And also, as a young person, I'm 28. I'm 28 years this year, and as a young person, I have seen young people, and that's something I'm not really so okay with. We do lots of talking, just talking, and we just keep talking. We keep complaining. We keep mentioning the government not doing this, the government not doing that, and we keep, putting so much pressure on places that does not really produce the kind of result that needs to be produced like that. Right. So I felt like instead of having to spend so much energy on these things, why not be more productive and putting our energy towards building a system, building a sustainable system, solving main problems, not just talking, but solving problems that would affect even this generation and even the generation after we are even not here again. And so that was the mindset I had, and I put myself to it, and here's why this is where I am currently.
That's very interesting, the journey, you said sometimes it can be challenging. Yeah, well, that is life. Sometimes it is challenging even when you don't do anything, If you were just sit at home, it's still going to be challenging sometimes. Some people sometimes they find it difficult even to just sit, So one day I was interviewing a guest. She was saying the effort that it take you to ruin your life, it is the effort that they will take you to build it. So the choice is yours. So decide to take action or don't take action. You are going to suffer anyway because life is suffering. So it is good that we put our energy into something that we can be proud of later in life, and most importantly, as we are young. That is very important. That is really, really very important. All right, now tell me, how do you feel about the work that you are doing? That for me now become very important.
Currently, I've not made any profit in what I'm doing. Like in the last 2 years, actively doing what I'm doing now, I've not made any profit. I've not received any salary from anybody, right? I have not. When I mean profit, like we've been making turnovers, but like we've been having engagements with SMEs, we've been doing some few things, but compared to the cost, we've not made profits. We've not had any profits, right? I've not received salary yet as an organization yet, right? And now it's not like we are okay with, we are still working hard, putting in effort and committing ourselves to these things. But one thing that has helped us. Sorry, I think I just lost my light there. Just 1 minute. Okay, so yeah, so one thing is sure. Yeah, so one thing is sure is that the fulfillment in my heart to see that what we are doing is tangible to the lives of these people who we have designed our project for is actually everything for me. Like sometimes I wake up and the excitement is that someone reached out to me and said, "Thank you so much for this you did for us. And this is what this had done for my business. I've been able to grow from here to here to here. And with that growth, I've been able to get more money to do more things, to this regard. I've been able to do this to this." That sometimes makes me, I feel I can literally cry, like I can literally shed tears when I hear such testimonies because I feel so fulfilled. I feel so excited. Right? But there's always a business part to it. You definitely have to make money from what you're doing, though. But I feel so excited whenever I see such remarks from people. And that's why when we decided to hold the Africa SME Assembly, we knew that the road will not be easy. We knew. See, I knew very well that people would reject me. I knew that people would say no to me. I was very certain for that. Like I knew for sure that we'll have people who would not appreciate what we are doing, who will not accept it in any way. And it was fine. We said, okay, problem, right? But we knew that beyond the rejection, there are people who this particular movement, this particular event will not just affect their life, but to become a springboard for the future, right? To become a springboard that will take them to where they ought to be. Right? So to me, like building all of this, the reward for me has been the joy I get from these SMEs, has been the excitement that I see from them. Right? So to me, that's like very much important to me. In as much as that's it. In as much as we still have structures, you're doing business, so you definitely have to. It's not an NGO, so it's a business, so you have to see how you could still make, to keep your business sustainable. But what really drives it, if the money is not coming at all, if I'm not even getting anything, which I'm not even getting per se, that I would keep doing these things as long as I get the feedbacks I get from the SMEs and friends who work with as well.
That is something that I sometimes tell to people in terms of advice now, because sometimes people will ask, but how do I know what is my passion? How do I know what should I focus on in life in terms of choosing maybe your career? Your career, I'm not really talking of what is going to earn you money. I mean, something that you really would like to pour yourself in for the rest of your life. Something that maybe you will wake up in the middle of the night, you will love to do it. You are not doing it just because of the money, but you really love to do it, whether you make 100 million from it or you make 0 million from it. I say, if money was not the issue, would you still do it? If you have a lot of money, would you still do it? What if you don't have money? Would you still do it? Because if you find something that you will do all the time, that you really love to do, then you know you have found your mission in life. Keep doing it. Keep refining it. It's not the money. Money is good. Nobody disputed that. Nobody can dispute that. But money is not the only thing in life. And this is a message we must preach, particularly to our young people, because they have the possibility of changing the society. But if they believe that money is the only way, now they can get the money, but they can lose their life for that money too. But if they find value, nothing can ever go wrong with that. Okay, sometimes life is very complicated, no? But for this fact that it is complicated, that is also another reason why you must do what you love. So that as you are suffering, you know what you are suffering for. I think that can be very important. Oh, now you talk about, go on.
Just to add to that as well, I wake up every morning excited, right? I wake up every morning energetic, right? For instance, when we started the project about the assembly, right? I must tell you, there was no money anywhere, but we saw a vision, we saw purpose in the vision, and we said we are going to go for it, right? Because we believe that beyond the money, right, this will actually do this, and this. And so whenever I wake up from the bed, I wake up in the morning to do my stuff, to work, I'm excited. There's energy. I wake up with the same energy. I feel energetic. I'm seeing things happen well. I'm excited. Things are not really happening well, but I can see the big picture. I'm excited. To me, I think that even makes a lot of sense, especially for young persons. You should finding things that really get you to the point of excitement, even when it's not really the kind of result that it ought to produce, even when you're not even receiving money from it. Now, I'm not disputing that money is not good. Yes, money it is, but I think drive and building from that point where you are passionate about what you're doing and you're committed to it is actually the best place to be, especially when it comes to a certain energy and being committed to it as well.
Absolutely, that is so fantastic. That is great. But even when it comes to money can also come to you. But money actually comes as a result. People make the mistake of making money. But the point that you don't really make money, you only earn money. You look at it like a better example is when you plant and you harvest, or like when you work and you get a salary. Now, your salary is after you have put in the work, which means you actually earn it. So if that is the case, what are you working on that is going to give you money? The point why I say that people should do what they love is not so that they cannot get money. It's so that they will get money to do more of what they love. You see, because if you like what you are doing, when the money comes, it means you will just expand more doing what you are doing. Not that you find money now, and the money has come, then what do I need to do with the money? Because money is very trickish too. You can get a lot of money and you will go and buy yourself trouble. Many people buy trouble for themselves with money because they don't know what to do with it. Instead, it's better that you learn how to earn money, which is money come after you have done what you are supposed to do. Anyway, that is fine. Now, tell me about the SME. That is important for me. Tell me about how you approach it.
Amazing. Okay. The Africa SME Assembly. I call it a brainchild, and I call it a movement to a sustainable continent, right? Now it's not just my project, and I don't in as much as I kind of I'm the convener. The idea started from me. I believe it has grown above me. It's not just about me anymore. It's now a coalition of committed people, right? A coalition of people who have believed for a long time in the continent, and they are ready to identify with the continent, and they are ready to commit themselves to the continent. So the assembly has grown beyond just a young boy from Imo State who is just doing this. It has grown above me, and it's now a global movement. To me, it's that people from outside of the continent, Black Africans outside of the continent, have seen a medium to which they can communicate their passion for the continent. They have seen a channel to which they can direct their resources to the continent, and seeing that we all put our hands together to see a committed continent, a sustainable continent, right? And so, to me, that was what led the assembly. The assembly came from a desire to see that everyone puts our hands together to build a movement that can enhance the growth of small businesses in the continent. And one thing is sure, if you look at the African continent, right, you will discover that a majority of the business owned in the small medium scale business industry, and even in the business world, it is driven by young persons. Young persons are the people that drive it, and it means that the future of the continent, especially when it comes to business, is owned by young people, right? And if we ignore these young people, they grind every day. I see young persons. So far, I've interacted with over 3,000 SMEs from across the continent, and I can tell you most of them are within a very they are young people, and they put in so much effort, put in so much energy, put in so much. They are so much committed to seeing that their business does well, right? To see that they earn a living from this thing, right? And most of them are just in silos. Some of them are just existing alone, doing it alone, pushing themselves alone, trying to scale alone with the very harsh economic issue that is faced here in the continent, with the whole challenge with forex, the whole challenge with importation, the whole challenge with economic policy and government policies. They're just struggling. There's a lot of struggle, trying to see how to scale things, trying to see how to get things done. And we felt like there's a need to bring them together, right? In as much as these issues are prevalent, in as much as these issues are there, right? They said it's easy for you to break one strand of broom. I said, in my village, there's a way the adage comes. I'm going to try to think of it that way, to say it exactly. But let me just say it in English, right? So there's a way if you pick a broom, for those listening, there's something they call broom in Nigeria. I know this is not just there's something they call broom. It's a palm tree. They shade then the single strand of the palm tree, they gather it together, and then they tie a reed beneath it, and then it can be used to sweep the ground, to blow fire, to clean your room and all of that. And so there's an adage that says that if you pick a broom and you pick two strands of that broom, it's easy for you to break it. But if you pick the broom in total and you're trying to break this broom when it's together, it's really very difficult. And this is basically because when people are in silos, when people are living, existing in silos, when people are doing things on their own, building alone, trying to scale alone, it's always a problem. One, there's no accountability, there's no system of accountability, there's no structure that can help them to grow, right? And there's no access. They have less access. If I have, for instance, if I know somebody, it takes someone for someone to know the person I know. So the person needs me to know the person needs to meet me to meet someone else. Because so it's a chain. We are a community. And this came from my village mindset that indeed we are supposed to be a community, we are supposed to be a connection of people coming together to build. So people building alone is a problem. So what we are trying to do at the assembly is to create that community. The African SME Assembly was created to create a system where SMEs, right, can identify with themselves, one, identify with key stakeholders interested in scaling, the business, that have the passion to see that their business is doing well, that has the passion to see that the government policies, government bodies that also are trying to set up policies that will support these SMEs. But in this case, we're trying to see how to bring together all of these bodies together to form a community whereby knowledge, access, easily permeate through this community by virtue of that connection. And so to us, right, the African SME Assembly is that ground where we are going to be bringing together everyone. That's why we are looking at the diaspora community, we are looking at the NGOs, we are looking at the government bodies, we are looking at the private sector, we are looking at which is the SMEs, we are looking at the public sector, we are looking at ministries, we are looking at everyone. Come together. Let us have a conversation again on issues that borders on SMEs. Let's have the conversation again. Let's talk. Let's commit ourselves to what economic development in the continent should look like for us, right? And so that's like the background to why we did what we're doing, right? So the assembly is going to be that springboard as well for SMEs, right? We are going to be giving them access to these people. There are people from the Black Exit movement. We have seen. Africa is our home. Nobody will build it for us. Africa is our continent. Nobody will build it for us. Nobody will do it for us. Africa is our own. We should own it. We should be a part of it. We should invest in it. We should give ourselves to it. So we are trying to see how to also bring people who have this passion for Africa back to Africa, create a system. One of the things we found out, right, in the course of dealing with SMEs, right, especially for those who do business here in Lagos, right, and even outside of Nigeria and few outside of Nigeria, is the fact that most SMEs don't have access to funds, finance. That's the truth. And for instance, you can pick. So it's easy for us to say we train people business operation, which is good, which is very, very good, right? One of the things we do at the village is to put in so much energy to training, to lectures, trying to see how to educate people, educate SMEs on business operations, business activities, and all of that. These are things we do and we prioritize at the assembly, right? So, but one of the things we also found out is that when you enable people in that area, you have to give them access to finance. We have to give them access to funds. They have to have some form of resources to be able to, apply what you have mentioned to them or you have taught them, and then help them to be able to scale, right? Because, if they have funds, you cannot help them manage the funds because that fund will be like a fuel to help them scale, right? So that's one thing we discovered. We found out that indeed most SMEs, and the challenge in Nigeria is that an SME cannot just walk up and walk to let's say a bank, a commercial bank, and ask for a loan, right? Firstly, the interest rate is high, it's crazy. There's a large interest, a high interest rate, and then the paperwork. There's no collateral, and so what we noticed is that these SMEs have issues with accessing funds, and so the most times they fall into the category of either borrowing from these roadside lenders or borrowing from family and friends, and because it's not even sufficient, it now becomes even an issue to sustain because the money you need is not enough to be able to get you to where you want to get to, and at the end of the day, you find out that they are spending more. They're not spending money on the right things because the money that they ought to have spent is not sufficient to be able to keep them through. So I think that's one of the challenges we found out, right? One instance that one of my friends there from Kenya, shared with me recently was, imagine having to train someone in a young person who is a freelancer, right? He's an SME. He's building a freelance company where he gets jobs, solves people problem. He's a business owner, right? He has a business, right? Probably trains one or two persons, and he has been trained extensively, right? And then he does not have money to buy a good laptop, right? And he cannot walk into any bank and access a good laptop and the funds to get a good laptop. There are some things that he can't do because what he's limited. He does not have maybe the high amount of collateral assets to give him some as he can use as collateral and all of that. So I think one of the challenges, like you asked, we have identified is people who can trust these people, SMEs, people who can have some kind of funds to be able to enable them, right? Like I said, I was having a conversation with my friend, and one thing she said as well, her name is Leah from Kenya, and Leah said something that was very profound. He said, what we want to do is to see that we can give these people funds to kickstart and get to a certain point before they cannot access those, banking loans and all of that. So I feel like that's one challenge we have, and that's one of the reasons why Innovative Village exists. What we want to do is to see how to give these SMEs access to these funds, right, at early stage, grow them to a certain degree where they can now they have built enough credit score. They have a good credit score such that they have been able to recycle funds within a certain period, and they are now they have a good reputation that indeed, if this fund is given to them, they have the capacity of also recycling it further again. So that's exactly what we are also trying to do here at the village. And the assembly is also aimed to achieve that, because what we want to do at the assembly is to see that these SMEs are given an opportunity to engage directly with these investors, potential investors that has the capacity to trust these people with funds. They have the capacity to give these people some level of, startup funds to be able to scale their business to a certain degree, and then now build the capacity to be able to access funds from a bigger financial cooperative and from banks and so on. So I think that's basically one of the challenges we've identified.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. All right. So what would be your final thought here? Maybe a kind of a message, or maybe something you wanted to touch before we go. Please go ahead and do that.
I want to talk to. So I know that this particular section, this is going to be streamed across different around the world, and so I'm going to use this opportunity to share my message, right? A message of hope to every African out there who has lost hope in Africa, right? I want you to know that Africa is the next big thing that will happen to the world, and it may not look like it now, but just believe in Africa, just like we have believed in Africa here in Africa. We believe that Africa has what it takes to rise, and it will require your efforts. I don't want you to join the bandwagon of people who criticize Africa, who talk bad about Africa. No, I want you to commit yourself to the growth of Africa in any little way you can, financially, resource-wise. If you have knowledge, if you have skills, if you have things that if you give to 1 or 2, 3 persons, it enables them to build systems here in Africa. Don't withhold it from withhold them from it. Also, I'm also officially inviting everyone to the African SME Assembly, right? To us, funny enough, most Africans don't even believe in Africa, because we have tried as much as possible to see how to get that event up and running. Some persons are not even responding to us, right? But I believe that it takes a drop of water to make an ocean, like they say. Just a tree it takes to build a forest. And we believe that what we are doing may not be substantial, may not look like a lot now, right? Because it's just at this stage. But we know that with time, as we keep going forward, as we keep putting ourselves to what we are doing, as we keep committing ourselves to it, we believe that in a very short time from now, maybe not too short, but we believe that Africa would feel the impact of what we are doing, and it will be tangible, and it will affect the lives of everyone that comes across us as well. And the assembly is on the 29th and 30th of March. We are very excited to have you join us. We are open to partnership and sponsorship. And I'm not marketing. I just want to say this. Well, yeah, I think Mr. Obehi this is his platform, so I'm not going to try to market.
No, don't worry. Go ahead. If you have to market yourself, no problem.
So, well, yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Obehi. You can easily, come in to the assembly, be a part of it. If you feel connected, if you want to speak to your continent, if you want to speak to your brothers and sisters down here in Africa, feel free to come reach out to us. We have a room to accommodate all of us, to see that everyone brings in their 1 cent, their 2 cents, or put it together and see how we can see a prosperous continent. So I think that's it from me. Thank you so much, Mr. Bay, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, treasure. This is a treasured moment. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.